Okay, so we have so much to cover this week. We've got national events and a look back at the Junior Grand Prix and a whole bunch of qualifiers for the later half of the season. There's a lot happening, and we're going to have to run through it at high speed. So I think that we should probably just get into it.
Agreed. So, welcome to Choreography, a show about the greatest sport on ice, figure skating. I'm Wendy Buskey.
And I'm Adrian Buskey, and this time we're going to be talking about the Japanese National Championships that are coming up here shortly, which is going to be what settles who is going to the Olympics and who is going to things like Four Continents and
all the stress.
And all the stress, I mean, for us as fans, but particularly for the skaters, because there's so much going on. But also there's quite a number of other qualifying events that have already happened and are happening. And like I mentioned earlier, something we didn't cover when we talked about the Grand Prix final last week was the Junior Grand Prix final, which also had some pretty amazing stuff at it. So in the interest of kind of moving through all of this, I think we just have to kind of dive in and start right off with the 2025 Japanese National Championships that are coming up a week from when we're recording this. And let's look at the women's event, because I think this is the most hotly contended. It's the one we've been talking about this entire season. And there is some obvious choices, but there are definitely some wild cards.
There is so much happening at this event, and it is honestly putting our notes together for this particular event was gutting, because it was the reminder of just how much talent Japan has. We all know it, but I don't know, putting it all on one page and seeing it all together was that like, this is horrible. This is essentially what could be the Olympics in a different year. It's unbelievable.
Japanese women's division is so extraordinarily deep with talent. There are so many wonderful skaters here, any of which I would be thrilled to see at the Olympics. And it's not, again, and we'll talk about their juniors division in a while, and they could figure into some of this as well.
Absolutely.
But of course, the conversation we've been having this entire season is who is going to make it to the Olympics when your field is as strong as theirs is. And the obvious one has always been Kaori Sakamoto. She's a 3-time world champion. She is an Olympic bronze medalist. And, she's just been one of the most dominant forces and like a face of the sport for the last 4 years. And she is Queen Kaori. She is adored by international fans. She is a celebrity at home now, and she is just one of the most wonderful personas on ice. I think there's pretty much no way Kaori gets left off this team. She's the given.
She is the given. She is the only given, in my opinion, although there's one more with Ami Nakai, who feels the word I wrote on our notes was undeniable. I think that throughout this season, she has proven that under pressure, she responds super well. So she has the second highest score of the season. She was the quantity that was unknown coming into this season. And now I feel like as long as she doesn't completely like fall out of the top 5 at nationals, and even then, I don't know, I feel like she is very close to being as absolute as Kaori Sakamoto.
Yeah, I think every Olympic season has that one junior who just moved up and suddenly is the spoiler candidate for like top of the podium.
Yep.
Ami has been that girl this whole season.
She's that girl.
Yeah.
I love it.
She came into the senior ranks with essentially no pressure on her and immediately just started to be extraordinary. She won her first Grand Prix event. She podiumed at the next one, and then she podiumed at the Grand Prix final. She has this astronomical score. I mean, her performances at Grand Prix de France were just absolutely extraordinary.
Yeah,
and
they're otherworldly.
I don't think at the beginning of this season we would have been talking about it this way.
No.
There are more veteran skaters that we would have thought would have been in the mix, but like you said, Ami has made herself undeniable. I would be very surprised if she is not part of that contingent, because she has been dependable. She's exceptional. Audiences love her.
Yeah.
And she is that person who could just walk into the Olympics and win it all on the right day. It's very much a possibility.
But the thing is, we have that third spot, and a month ago, I would have said that Mona Chiba was also darn near undeniable.
I would have thought of her as a lock, 2 weeks ago.
Prior to the Grand Prix final, where she went in as the leader in the short program and crumbled under the pressure in the long. And while the rest of her season has been extraordinary, she is such a solid skater. And I think that what we saw of her, like in the short program, especially at Grand Prix Final, she was working on her expressiveness, and it elevated so much just between the last time we saw her and the Grand Prix Final.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we've seen like she only keeps getting better. But the problem is the mental side of things. And like if she crumbles again at nationals, I don't feel like she is a lock. And you have right behind her in terms of score for the season, Rion Sumiyoshi. So Rion Sumiyoshi didn't make the Grand Prix final. And a lot of folks seem to think like, oh, that means that she's non-factor anymore for the Olympic team. But her high score for the season is 1 point below Mona Chiba's high score for the season. If she kills it at nationals, don't count her out. She's absolutely still in this.
Rion has all of the pieces. And what we know about the Japanese Federation is that they take their criteria seriously.
They
They're
do.
going to evaluate all of these competitors based on this like three-tiered system. And it's a little complicated to get into, but it's like one, whoever wins nationals goes.
Yeah.
That's like the first factor is if you win nationals, you lock a spot and you go. And really, there's 4 or 5 women here who could win. The expectation is that Kaori will take it. However, Mao
However,
Shimada is here and she's still in juniors, but she competes in the juniors compete in the national competition, and Mao Shimada can very easily walk away with this on the right day,
she's been
which
second the past 2 years.
yeah. So if you think about a junior who would not be qualified to go to the Olympics, not age eligible, who could win this, then you throw away that first criteria. So that it scratches the whoever wins gets to go, and then it goes down to these other 2 sets of criteria that are based on performance and top scores and placements and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll put a link in the description for this episode where I feel like Jackie Wong from Rocker Skating actually put a nice page together with the criteria for a lot of countries in terms of their selection. So in case anyone's interested in like all the more granular details, it was really, really helpful. But in looking at this, Rion Sumiyoshi is still in this, and as an outside shot, even though she didn't fare as well as she wanted to at the Grand Prix final, Rika Watanabe has 3 triple axels. That is not nothing. Her scores this season are still above 210. It is not out of the realm of possibility for her either.
Yeah, if she had a stellar competition, she could shake
Exactly.
things up as well. And then, of course, this competition has a whole litany of incredible names at it. And I think the 2 that are maybe the most significant to talk about, because they come with a very bittersweet aspect to them, is that we will be seeing Wakaba Higuchi here and Mai Mihara. And both of them have announced their intentions to retire essentially after this competition. That's assuming neither of them makes their way to the Olympics. With Mai, that's just a non-possibility. She hasn't skated international really this season. Longtime listeners will know that Mai Mihara is one of my favorite skaters of all time. It breaks my heart that we have not seen her very much this season. She had brought back my 2 favorite programs from her, and I am just so desperate to see Mai Mihara on the ice more, particularly with the Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence program, which is one of my absolute favorites of all time. So Mai Chan is just a delight, and the idea of her retiring is super painful. But of course, Wakaba has been in that conversation this whole year as somebody who we wanted to make this Olympic team,
Desperately.
but she has not performed well. She has been injured. And I think after her last Grand Prix performance, I think has kind of resigned herself to the fact that this is just the final farewell performance in competition.
The only thing I kind of hope for her is that she, one, does incredibly well. Obviously, I want to see 2 phenomenal programs from both of them. Like, because I adore both of these women so much, and they deserve it as their final farewell. But what is not out of the realm of possibility here is that Wakaba could make the 4 continents team. So
Yeah.
we would potentially get another
That
opportunity
would
to
be
see her.
amazing.
So
That'd be amazing.
yes.
I don't know that she's expecting that or even going for that, considering her, like, if her physical condition allows for it. But
Yes, but as much as I want desperately to hope that she could still make that Olympic team, I don't see that as being realistic right now. However, I'm happy to be wrong.
yeah.
However, and also I think that the four continents is not totally
Yeah,
unrealistic.
but we also have to look at the other seniors that are in this competition
Yes.
because we also have Rino Matsuike, Yuna
Ugh.
Aoki, Hana Yoshida, and then, of course, Saki Miyake and Mako Yamashita are all in this mix. So, when we're looking at Rino and Yuna in particular, Hana has had a rougher season.
Yeah.
She's got delightful programs and she's a wonderful skater, but she has just had some struggles and has not been very consistent at all. But Rino is, the skating skills princess out there. I mean, her forward outside turn is a thing of legend at this point. And Yuna is just one of the
Oh,
best artistic skaters in the entirety of women's figure skating.
she
She is
truly
just
is.
like jumps are fake, Yuna Aoki is real, and I would to see the two of them go to something like Four Continents would be an absolute delight.
That'd be a dream.
And considering Wakaba and Mai retiring at the end of this year, I don't know what like Yuna's plan is because she was going to retire before this season, and I just want every reason for her to keep competing. Like that
Yeah,
losing
true.
this many because we know Kaori is retiring after the Olympics, so like
Oh, so many
yeah,
feelings. Oh
but
my God.
again, we also mentioned Mao Shimada will be here, but also so will Maya Akata and Mayuka Oka and Akira Kushida, and it's just like the juniors are all really good, and any of them could upset the balance at this event.
They
So
could, but we'll talk about them more later.
yeah.
So, do we want to do predictions? We didn't talk about this behind. No, no.
No, no,
Okay.
no, no. I have a visceral,
Okay.
uncomfortable reaction
No
to that.
problem. We'll just keep
I
moving.
can't even decide in my heart what I would want to happen.
Nope,
Right?
me
Yeah,
neither. I'd rather move on.
yeah.
Let's talk about the men. Less intense in terms of all no, maybe I'm wrong. Never mind. It's just as intense. Just a smaller group.
Yeah, there aren't as many truly competitive men in this field right now. Yuma Kageyama is the obvious lock, as is Shun Sato.
Yeah.
Both of them have been really good this season. Shun has been the master of consistency, and Yuma, of course, is the kind of heir apparent to the crown of the Japanese men, but he has been a little bit more inconsistent, and when he is good, he is great, but there are days where he isn't quite as strong, and he has shown some fallibility. But the two of them are the
They're
they're
locks.
locks. The question becomes for that third spot, and that's when you have to factor in Kalmura, Kazuki Tomono, Sota Yamamoto, and to a far lesser degree, I think Tatsuya Tsuboi. I think really it's kind of between Kao and Kazuki, but Kazuki I think has had the better season. Kao has the higher threshold for scores, but has been like just an absolute mess through a lot of the early part of the season.
Yes.
And then, Sota lags behind them in his top score of the season, but Sota is also capable of showing up at the right moment and really turning out a great performance. So I really do think that any of the three of them could make that happen.
I totally agree with you. I mean, like you said, Kao and Kazuki certainly have had the bigger numbers this season, but we never know what to expect. So I feel like, for one, I think Kazuki needs to have another fantastic short program here. Like, obviously, everybody wants to do well in both, but he needs to have like a significant short program to stand a chance. Cal, I wrote on my notes, Mr. Who the Hell Knows, because I
Yeah,
have
yeah.
no idea. Like, I am a huge fan of Cal, and it's a year ago, I would have been like, I can't imagine an Olympic team without him.
Right.
But now I can. Kazuki is also one of my absolute favorite skaters personally. So I'd love to see him on another Olympics. We got him once before in 2022. So I don't know how much that will factor in that he was in another Olympics. But Sota, while on paper you'd look and say, no, he has no chance, with how volatile those two other men are, if he came in here and had a fantastic competition, none of them have proven to be like the most reliable. And I really feel like it's just going to come down to who's best at nationals.
Yeah.
So any of those three, toss them in the air with the maybe Tatsuya Saboi. I like Tatsuya a lot, but he's just had a really rough season. So,
Yeah, and he made his way to Worlds last year based on the strength of his
yeah,
performance at Japanese Nationals, but then didn't perform well at Worlds. So, all of these guys have shown weakness under pressure. But I mean, between Kao, Kazuki, and Sota, I'd be happy with any of them to go.
same.
I really enjoy all of them. I don't know who I would pick personally.
I feel like you'd pick
I
Sota.
mean, Soda is kind of my like he has a special place in my heart, and I don't know why, other than
It's
I
the
just
fist
it's
bump.
the fist pump is pretty rad. I mean, I have always been a big fan of his, like of that, but stylistically I like him. But I adore Cow, and I just would love for him to get it together and live up to his potential, because his
Hmm.
potential is so high.
I agree with that.
Also worth notable that there are a number of the Japanese juniors in contention. The one that you have to really talk about is Ryo Nakata. I don't think Rio's like top score really puts him like he's going to push the top couple of guys,
No,
but he could disrupt things a little bit. And we'll talk about him a little bit more when we get into the Junior Grand Prix Final stuff. But Rio is a real competitor, and he is still a guy kind of working his way towards becoming their next superstar.
he's
He's
gonna do
Yeah,
it.
he's going to be the
He's
kind
on
of
his
heir apparent.
way.
But he could slot in here higher, and it could disrupt how some of these other guys sit in this competition.
Let's briefly hit on the dance and the pairs event. I feel like pairs is pretty solid. Like we know pretty much what's gonna happen. You're gonna have Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kihara come in here and win their title again. It's very unlikely that that won't occur.
Yeah.
But we've seen such a wonderful rise from Yuna Nagoka and Sumitada Muraguchi. I love this team. I can't wait to see them at an Olympic Games. I hope they get the opportunity to compete in part of the team event. I'd
Hmm.
be really excited about
Yeah.
that. I don't know if they'll get that chance. It just kind of depends.
Yeah.
But either way, those are your two teams. Like there's one other team competing that's good, but those are the two that are really going to lock in their
Yeah.
Olympic spots.
Unisumi have made such a glow up this season, and they
Totally.
have broken 200, which is really nice for a team at their level. You
And
can
props to Kathy Reed, to their coach for helping them get there.
Yeah, and they've also gone and skated in Germany, and
Yes.
between those two situations, the level up has been extraordinary, and they are so much fun. They've definitely feel like a team of the future, but I am most excited for them to get that experience here,
Yes.
so that they can go into the next quadrennial and essentially kind of like move up in the ranks. Otherwise,
100%. The dance event, I'm curious. Like Japan only has one spot that's going to be available for the team event, and it's very likely going to go to Utana Yoshida and Masaya Morita. They have been that team that's been there. They're not high scoring necessarily in the dance event, but they're pretty consistent. They've had a few not so great events this season, so that's the only reason why I feel like there's a little vulnerability.
yeah, and notably, they were the team that went to the Olympic qualifiers and
Yes,
didn't manage to make it into qualification. So,
which was such a
so they're
bummer.
not in the individual event. This is only available for them in team, which is still a great opportunity for
Huge.
sure.
Absolutely. But I am really curious to see, even though they don't have their international minimums yet, Kushida and Shimada, like, man, we got to see them just a little bit at Golden Spin, and they've already got me very, very intrigued.
Yes, I mean the that new pairing of Akira Kushida and Kashira Shimada, they already look so promising, having only been a team for a few months, and they're both singles skaters who have made the shift, and that is, I feel like ice dance purists sometimes don't like take really well to the skaters who do stuff like that until they
Yeah.
become like an Amelia Zingis and start to really excel in it. But this team already shows a ton of promise. Like you said, they didn't get their minimums at Golden Spin, so they don't have they can't go to four continents essentially. So I don't know how that's going to affect them going through us. I don't know if they would even be eligible for an Olympic berth in that way. Really, it's team of the future kind of stuff. And I think that also applies to the other, like, wild card is Rika Kihara and Mako Nishiyama, who are an even newer team. And of course, Rika Kihara, a very notable single skater who has not been able to compete for a long time because of injury that kind of stopped her from being able to land her jumps, and made that shift, and that they're training in IAM.
Yeah, which is
And
really interesting. It's Rika Kihira, but that's okay.
oh, Kihira, oh my
We
gosh,
haven't
Rika
talked about
Kihira.
her in so long. It makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, apologies for that. But Rika is a delight, and getting another aspect to her career is wonderful. And they already seem like a really committed team. Like
Very
they're
much so. And they're much more, they've openly talked about being much more focused on the 2030 Olympics. So these two teams, I'm really curious to see what happens. There are other nationals happening that are very significant next week alongside Japan. So France, French nationals is next week as well. So we're going to see the competition of Adam Xiaohemfa versus Kevin Amos, which will be, I mean, there's also Francois Pitot and Luca Canamides, but it's really those two, and seeing how well they do here to ensure their berths at Europeans and the Olympics.
now, I
So
believe France does have two.
they have two.
They have two spots for the
Yeah.
Olympics, and Adam and Kevin are the obvious choices
Yes.
for that. But these are two of the most interesting artistic skaters in the business in men's seniors. But of course, they're also two wildly inconsistent skaters. And this
Exactly.
particular season, they have been all over the place. Adam has the highest score between the two of them, but I think that Kevin has been more successful overall as
He's
far
had
as
more
like
wins.
yeah, more wins, more podium placements. Kevin did just win Golden Spin in the men's division, but with an extremely low number. I think it was in the
Yeah.
230s or something. So
But it
uh,
was over Luca Canamides, so it's like you're kind of
still making
looking,
your case.
still
Yeah.
making his case here.
I feel like you were doing 6-7 there for a
Oh
set. Well, you
no.
got to be careful with the hands.
I am far too old to do 6-7.
Yeah. I think the to me the more interesting competition here is in dance, because it's essentially a given that Funouye Baudry and Cicerone will win this event and are going to go. I mean, that like the French Federation has put all of their eggs in that basket.
Absolutely.
The real question is with the remaining Olympic spot, if it's going to be Laporeva and Berceau or Demouget and Le Mercier. And the more obvious choice here is Laporeva and Berceau. They are the more accomplished team. They have more medals, I think, overall in the international space. Their season's best is like 15 points higher, I think,
About that,
than the
yeah.
other team. But Demouget and Le Mercier are an extremely good team who have made a real case for themselves this season. I was really worried going into the start of this season that the entrance of Gilo were just going to shove this team into a locker, right? Like a bully in high school. Like they were just going to shove them away, and that was like the last we were going to see of Luisia and Theo. And instead, they have performed extremely well this season. I'm a big fan of their Arcane program. That skate is like the costumes are really cool. Thematically, it's very interesting. It's very different from anybody else's. But I've been a big fan of Laporeva and Berceau for a long time. They are one of the more unique teams in ice dance. Their point of view is so different from everybody else's. And I mean, heart of hearts, I'm going to go with Laporeva and Berceau, and I think they're the obvious choice. But who knows with the French Fed what'll happen here.
Exactly. The women's in pairs is a little bit less exciting, I would say. However, I think the women's event will be between Lauren Schild and Leah Serna. Lauren Schild has definitely the advantage there, but we'll see between those two because they only have one spot. And the pairs, I'm just hoping after the last time we saw the Kovalevs that they're okay, because that was a really scary moment
Yeah.
for Camille. She had dislocated her shoulder, like, and ugh, I just hope they're okay.
Patel posted just a couple of days ago that they're cleared to compete,
Good.
and that their team has taken really good care of them, and they've been bouncing back, and they looked really happy in the pictures and stuff. So I think the Kovalevs are in good shape here. Now, hopefully it's not an opportunity to just re-injure. They just need to keep.
Oh,
They are the entirety of the team possibility for the French hinges on the Kovalevs being able to compete.
yes.
So, and I do not believe they qualified for an individual spot at the
I
Olympics.
don't believe
I don't think
so.
so. So I think it
I
really just
think
comes
it,
down to team.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that's
Yeah,
correct.
but yeah, just hoping that Camille is healthy and that they'll be in good shape for all of it.
Also happening next weekend, Italian Nationals, because why not do everything all
Let's
at
do all
once?
of them in one weekend. Yeah.
For the men, I really think it's going to be between Daniel Grassel and Nicolai Memela. Both of them, I mean, Italy has 2 spots, so I think those are the 2 men who are most likely to make that team. But I am curious to see who gets the win. Grassel has definitely had a really strong come up this
He was
season.
great at Grand Prix Final.
It's fantastic at Grand Prix Final, had a wonderful free skate, especially, like really good. Memela has had more of an iffy season, but they're both capable of great and not so great. So we'll see. Matteo Rizzo, it's possible he could sneak in there, but I doubt it
I
at this
feel
point,
like Matteo feels like a skater on the decline, unfortunately,
unfortunately.
which is kind of frustrating. With Memela, I think he spent more time on with his butt on the ice than you would expect this
Ugh,
season.
such a bummer.
Yeah, because he's got really good programs, but they just haven't worked super well. I think he started relatively strong at the beginning of the season, and then since then has kind of tapered off. Whereas Daniel made it to the Grand Prix final and proved that he deserved to be there. So
Absolutely, he did.
whether or not you like his conclave program and him turning into the Pope, like Daniel's making the case for himself and his
He really
popehood.
has.
But yeah, when we look at dance, it's Guinard and Fabry like that. They carry the Italian Federation's dance, but this season, the judges have shown that they have not been super positive about Guinard and Fabry.
Yeah.
And now they just won Golden Spin, but they won with a 2:04.18.
Which was their season's best. So
Season's best, sure. But if we compare that to what we just saw from the Grand Prix final, and if we look at, the toss up that was Fear and Gibson and Piper and Paul, and I think both of them had like 2:08s.
yeah,
So Guinard and Fabry are still lagging behind
pretty
in those points. And,
significantly.
Golden Spin versus Grand Prix final, very different events and
Sure.
different scoring or different judges. But it's just indicative of a season where Guinard and Fabry are just not getting the numbers that they are used to. And you can see that frustration of them, like they're banging their head up against the wall, like many teams are having this season.
Yeah. The women's event I'm very curious about. I mean, I feel like Laura Naki Gutman is the star.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But you still have Anna Pizzetta, who has done okay this season. Like I can't say she's done poorly. Her high score of 192.97 isn't bad at all.
But she's had more bad competitions than she's had good ones.
She has. So starting this season, I would have put those two kind of. Laura had a slight advantage, but it wasn't a significant one. Whereas now I feel like there is a large gap between those two skaters, and Laura is the one who should get this Olympic spot.
I feel like Laura Naki Gutman is kind of like Italy's, say, like Nina Petrokina, like the
Yeah.
person who in the last 2 years has just kind of their star has risen and their media has taken notice and they're just starting to become like a little bit more known in their federations and then outside of just regular skating fandom. And I just think Laura Naki Gutman is just a very compelling like person on the ice and off.
Agreed.
And as much as I adore Anna Pizzetta and I really do enjoy her skating, she has just had a much rougher season. She's been, even though like her point possibilities are strong, even if you go back and look at like World Team Trophy last year and where we saw the two of them on the ice together, Laura really turned in great performances and Anna was kind of falling all over the place. So, and kind of notably Anna Pizzetta can run into the
Crashes
boards.
into the boards.
So I think the pretty obvious choice is Laura, but what happens here is, of course, like all going to happen, depend on the day.
The one I'm most excited about is definitely the pairs competition because we've seen such a rise from Conti and Machi. I love this team. I am so excited for them to just. I feel such momentum behind them.
Extraordinary momentum.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love them. But I'm really curious because Italy has 2 spots. It's going to likely be between Ghiardi and Ambrosini and the very little seen so far this season, Bakari and Guarisi. And I would obviously, because we've seen a lot more of them this season, I would give the edge to Giardo and Ambrosini, but we have to remember that Bakari and Guarisi were European champions not that long ago. So maybe
Yeah, I mean, Bakari and Gracie, we
I
just
did it
haven't seen them
again.
be
I did the
oh
six
my
seven
gosh.
again. Oh
Oh, no.
no.
Yeah, I don't think you were on camera for
I'm
that.
gonna sit on
That's good.
hands.
Bakari and Gracie are the team that, like, I would want to send between the two of them if we had seen them and they were looking like they did 2 years ago. But with injury having taken Matteo out of things, or no, actually it was Lucrezia, wasn't it?
It
Matteo
was.
just had a kid.
Yeah.
Uh,
It injured his sleep schedule.
yeah, I'm sure it did. We have very little to factor them in because and the one time that I think we did see them, I think maybe they only did a short program and then
They did.
withdrew. So, they just have not looked strong. But Giardi and Imbersini have won. The last time we saw them, actually, they looked a little better, but their singles elements have just not been strong in any of the competitions they've been doing. And I think it's also kind of notable to look back at the last Olympics that they were at and were kind of bad.
It was
They
rough.
were some of like there's some very notable poor performances from that last Olympics. If you look at Minerva Fabian Hasse, who was with a different partner and I think was in last place at the last
Oh,
Olympics, and now
that's not
she's like, but now she with Nikita, she's
one of the favorites.
one of the
Yeah.
best and one of the favorites. Like that's an incredible turnaround. I don't think we've seen Giardi and Ambrosini really. I think they had a couple of seasons where they looked really good, and then since then they've just felt a little diminished. So I think they are likely to be that second team going, but everything hinges on Conti and Machi.
Yeah. Conti and Machi are the stars for
Yeah.
sure. So that's all the well, I'm lying. That is not all the nationals that are happening, but that's all that we're going to talk about here because there's so much to talk about. However, there were other nationals happening this week that have already occurred. German nationals were this weekend. Hassan Volodin defeated Hakan Kunkel by about 35 points. So
Ooh, that's a huge spread.
it was. However, both teams should be going to the Olympic Games. I believe that they have been named already to the European teams, but it's very likely going to be the same.
Sure.
So, and I haven't seen their performances, but I did hear that Anna and Robert did have a really good free skate. So hopefully that's
wonderful.
really
Yeah.
good. So I'm excited for the two of them to be there. So we'll just wait and see how it goes. In dance, no surprise, Van Rensburg and Stefan solidly won. I saw one photo where they were in the kiss and cry with him holding his new baby and her holding her dog, and I decided they win everything.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, right there. That's. We've
A
seen
dog
him.
in the kiss and cry. I mean that's priceless.
That's all I want.
That's all I want
right?
ever.
Right.
That's happiness.
We know that like at Worlds last year, they had like the comfort room that was full of dogs and the skaters were just flocking to it and like put dogs in the kiss and cry. And like, I think you'll improve everything.
Yeah, let's start a petition. I'm here for it. There was also 4 nationals that happened. And I thought this was interesting because Adam Hagara took that gold over Vladimir Samolyev from Poland. Both should be still eligible and going to the Olympic Games, but I don't believe that's been officially named yet. But good for them to go 1-2.
Yeah, and a terrific outcome for Adam Hagar. He's really having a nice, I don't think this is his first senior season, but I think he was splitting time last year, maybe.
I believe so.
But
Everything
I think
blurs
it's his
together.
first full time. But in any
Yeah.
event, Adam is really kind of starting to make the come up and is a really enjoyable skater for sure. And I mean, Vladimir is also terrific. So that's great news for both of them.
Agreed. Also good news for Katerina Korakova, who took gold and solidified her spot at the Olympic Games. I saw her post on Instagram that the very joyful, obviously relieved, just to be like, okay, I'm going, everything's good.
Yeah. After a couple of seasons where Kurakova has also been struggling to get scores and often seems like the judges just don't want to reward her for the things that she is actually good at. Yeah, her grabbing a gold here and making that lock is great news. I've got to expect this is probably her last season.
I would assume.
I would think maybe. I don't know though. I mean, she obviously loves performing, so it's hard telling, but
Yes.
yeah.
No surprise again, we saw Pavlova and Sviatchenko from Hungary winning, but they won by over 30 points. Like they won in dominant fashion. So their star just continues to rise. I mean, talk about the glow up of the season. I really do
Absolutely.
feel like it's
Yes.
them. And in dance, you had the top two teams being both from Czechia, the Mrozics and the Toslers. The Mrozics did win by about 10 points. I don't know the breakdown of the individual like rhythm dance and free dance scores or how that went, but it was
It's
a
kind of surprising.
pretty wide gap.
I mean, I think the Moravsiks and the Toslers are both terrific
They
teams, and I
are.
think they've kind of danced around each other a little bit. Haha. Uh, in the sense of, you know, kind of going back and forth as far as who is doing the best this season. I think the Toslers have had, you know, kind of a little bit of a string of rough luck with, you know, being at the one competition where the wrong music got played and it messed up their performances, and that's been really frustrating for them. With the Moravsiks, they've had a couple of lifts that have caused them issues in their free skate. They've had to make a lot of changes over the course of the season to their material. But both teams are great. A 10-point difference between the two of them is very surprising, but I believe they should both be going.
Yes.
You know, so
Yes.
so yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Agreed.
So looking forward to continuing to see them, I should say, because I do love both those teams.
Estonian Nationals also happened. You know, Petrakina solidly won her event, which is great since she's on the comeback trail from injury. Also, we saw Alexander Selevko defeat his brother, Mikhail, by about 10 points.
Yeah, it's always kind of bittersweet when you have to take out your own brother in order to
Yes.
lock a spot. But
Feels
Sasha
very
is
cinematic.
Yeah, Sasha is the right choice this season, though.
100%.
He has much better programs, like much better material. When he's on, he's been fantastic. He's had more good placements overall.
I
Like,
mean, he has a Grand Prix medal.
yeah,
That's
and
significant.
yeah, and so getting to see Alexander represent Estonia, I think, is a big deal. And like you were saying with like Nina Petrakina, like after essentially not seeing her through most of the season, because I mean, this has been a notable season for a bunch of competitors that we have not seen. You know, we've barely seen Nina Petrakina. We're only just now seeing Nina Pizzaroni return to competition, and we'll talk a little bit with Golden Spin. You know, we haven't seen Kimi Rapond this entire season. You know, we've barely seen Luna Hendricks. She's been in a few competitions, but like it's a lot of those European competitors have just not been a factor through most of the season, and now they have to come in late, start proving themselves, and get in there. So
It's going to be interesting. And
yeah.
as of right now, if I were to make a prediction about Europeans, I think Gubanova is going to be real tough to beat. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, I mean, she's been looking very good this season.
She's
Yeah.
looking great. Also, Finnish Nationals, and I bring this up for two specific reasons. One is that women's competition that really feels so tight for that one Olympic spot between Aida Karinen and Olivia Lisko. In this instance, Aida took the national title, which means she will definitely be going to Europeans and likely going to the Olympics is my guess.
Yeah, and Olivia was leading in the short, and then Aida came back and took it in the free. And these two, I think early in the season, I think Aida, even though she's like fairly fresh into seniors, like has seemed like kind of like the person that was going to be going all the way. But Olivia really made a case for herself, particularly I think was it Tallinn, the Tallinn Trophy, or Warsaw, one of the two.
I thought it was Warsaw, but it could have been Tallinn. They're all blurring together.
Yeah, I mean, there's been so many competitions, but one of them she scored like a 194 and won the event, and was not, I think, who anybody, and I believe that was, I think it was Tallinn, because I think it was over Nina Petrakina and a couple of other notable.
You're right. I think it was Sarah Everhart was there. Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty notable group.
Yeah, so Lisko has definitely made a case for herself this season, and she's got some pretty wonderful programs. But here, Aida comes out, and so yeah, gets that European lock. Like you said, the Olympic team not announced yet, though, so we don't know what that'll be.
The thing that I was most excited about here, though, was that saw the return finally of another team we haven't seen any of this season, Yulia Turkila and Matthias Veslus. They won over Orhara and Pirinen. We watched their I think it was just their rhythm dance.
We watched their rhythm dance, and it was okay.
It was okay. I mean, they definitely look like a team that has not performed
not competed all year. Yeah.
They still scored over 200. I mean, it was a national score, so it is what it is. But I'm just excited to see them because regardless of how they skated here, they solidified, hey, we're back, and now they can just go from there and get better.
Yeah, and also notably, it is official that Yuka Orihara is not going to get citizenship or get the passport. So
this breaks my heart.
That Finnish team is not going to be eligible for the Olympics. So, which to a degree, I think it's not a huge surprise, and it's almost seems like a weight lifted off of them, because now that it's just known, they can just focus on their own stuff that they can do. But what that does mean is it slots up one of the teams that is in the alternate position. I think the Swedish team
I think
that we
it's the
saw at
Swedish
Olympic
team,
qualifiers.
but I haven't seen that solidly official, but maybe I'm wrong. But yes, I believe it means that the Swedish team is going to go,
Yeah.
which is exciting. Well, I think that kind of wraps up everything that is coming or just happened, but I do want us to take some time very quickly, since we're trying to move fast, if you haven't noticed, um, that,
Speed run.
yes, to go back and look at the Junior Grand Prix final, because to your point, especially in the women's competition, this was stellar.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the women's competition. So we didn't watch it in real time. We went back to it this like past weekend to catch up, and we didn't spend as much time in pairs or ice dance because we don't watch a lot of juniors, and we're not juniors like experts, and we're not experts in anything, but like but we really don't put a lot of focus on the junior division. So, in some cases some of these skaters are almost brand new to us because we're kind of unfamiliar. But the women's competition, if we look at senior women's Grand Prix final, it was essentially the US versus Japan. In the juniors, it is Japan versus Korea. And it's an incredible lineup of 6 women in this competition. There is no surprise that Japan's Mao Shimada, we mentioned her earlier, took this because Mao is incredible. I mean, she is the total package. It's an extraordinary thing that she is not age eligible for this Olympics, because she would probably just walk into the Olympics as one of the favorites, because
Oh, absolutely.
she is a phenomenal skater with so much incredible ability. And I think, what's kind of notable from her here is that she puts on 2 very, very good performances. She does fall on her quad because, yes, she has a quad and a triple axel in her free skate, but she has been struggling to land that quad this season. So there are, some
She is
like
human.
there are some vulnerabilities,
Yeah.
but with all of what she's performing and the incredible quality that she's doing it, and her amazing spins and just artistic presentation,
Her spins. Oh
she
my
yeah,
gosh, her
she's coming out
spins.
here with like a 20-point lead, which is pretty impressive considering how good the rest of the competition is. But Mao is just a phenomenon, and it's, again, her winning this is, I believe, I don't know the numbers on it, but she's undefeated now for something like 3 seasons. Or I know there was a little while where her and Jia Shin would kind of switch back and forth as far as who would win competitions, but at a certain point Mao kind of pulled ahead, and it's, I don't know, it's 11 or 12 comps or something. It's nuts. Yeah.
It's crazy. And Mao, for anyone that doesn't watch juniors, I know we have mentioned her before. She becomes senior next season, and understand she is absolutely going into almost every competition as either the favorite or one of the favorites immediately.
Yeah, as long as nothing changes between then
As
and
long as
now.
nothing
Because, I mean,
changes.
but, looking at, say, like how Ami Nakai has walked in and
True.
changed the game, I mean, Mao is entirely possible. It's very likely she'll do a very similar kind of thing.
Yes.
But I think when we get down the rest of the rankings here, this event notably had the first set of twins to ever compete at the Grand Prix final.
The Kim twins.
Yeah, the Kim twins from South Korea. You have Yuseong Kim and Yujay Kim. And this is a pair of twins who, I mean, they're identical. So, like, they can be very confusing. The first time that we saw them at a Korean event, we were really confused because we were trying to figure out why the same girl was competing twice in both events
Yes.
before we realized that it was actually, 2 different girls. And the Kim twins are very compelling. They're very, very similar to each other in their style, in their techniques,
In their presentation,
yes. So
everything.
it's very easy to get them. One is slightly taller than the other. And they have ever so slightly different face shape, but other than that, telling them apart is pretty challenging. But I think a lot of this season, UJ has been kind of the better performer, even though they did both make it here to the Grand Prix final. But it's Yusong who pulls ahead, and after being 5th in the short, is 3rd in the free, and then mathematically makes her way into that 2nd spot, and looked really strong. Like, just particularly that free skate was wonderful, and her getting here and in a tough competition, and especially when you look at like, you're competing against your own twin sister, but also some really wonderful Japanese skaters, getting that silver at this event, a big deal.
Absolutely, and she completely deserved it. It was really, really great to see. In third, we had Mai Okada from Japan, and I am not as familiar with her. Like I've watched a little bit of her performances this season, but I was super impressed. Like she definitely has room to grow as a performer, like to kind of bring her up and outness to the forefront, but tons of potential and a phenomenal technician already. So great, great job here. And
Yeah, notably, she was in second after the
yeah,
short, but she was fifth in the free, so she
mhm,
still managed to hold on to that bronze. But she had
barely.
one of the weaker performances in the free skate. You could
Hmm.
see kind of the pressure kind of mount on her a little bit, but a very enjoyable skater overall. Then you get into fourth, you get UJ Kim, so you get the other Kim twin, who. It's so wacky how this stuff works out because she was sixth in the short. She fell in the short program, and that really put her at a massive disadvantage. But she was second in the free skate.
She had my favorite free skate actually of the event. I
Her
loved it.
her free skate was amazing,
Yeah.
and thinking how like she beats her sister in the free, but
Falls off the podium.
still falls off the podium at four. Just because how numbers work, math doesn't care about our feelings. But yeah, UJ was absolutely terrific. It's a shame that, I mean, she gets edged off of the podium by like point 0.5, not
Yeah,
even point
5
0.5.
tenths.
Yeah, so it's very, very close between her and Mayakata, but still a very terrific performance. I think a lot of people who didn't watch juniors will still recognize these two because if they watched the gala for the Grand Prix final, they will have seen Yusong and UJ do a twin performance. I think it's kind of a Bring It On program or something. Like
It
they're
has that vibe.
yeah, that's what I saw people say on Reddit. It's like they're in kind of almost like cheerleading kind of outfits. It's super adorable. Like it's really, really cute. It's also a little awkward and kind of a mess. And they clearly didn't quite know what to do with themselves at the end of it. Like it didn't seem like they were as used to like taking the bows together, and it's just, but it's adorable and super fun.
It is.
But if we're going to talk about who I most enjoyed out of all of this, it's the fifth place finish of Sumika Kanazawa.
I love her. I am immediately a stan. I love her, love her, love her.
I don't think I'd ever heard of her before. If
We
I
don't watch
had, we
juniors.
don't watch juniors, so we're just typically kind of not in the know on it, and we didn't see very much of the Junior Grand Prix at all. And so she came into this as somebody we were not really aware of, and Sumika is extraordinary. And again, three of these women were at 195 and change. So
Yes.
third to fifth was like a toss up essentially. But Sumika is so unique amongst the rest of the women as far as her presentation, as far as her style, her presentation, her artistic viewpoint. I mean, she has that adorable factor that so many of the Japanese women do,
But she
but
has like something else. I don't know. I don't have a word for it, but her Cruella de Vil short program, I was just like, you are a star. I love you. I can't wait to see more from you. And oh my God, she's
she's
13.
13 years old.
13?
Okay, it's for one thing, like she doesn't really look that. So like she
No.
looked at like the same age as, and they're all kind of like 15 to 17 or whatever
Which is
for the
what I
most.
assumed when I was watching her.
Yeah.
No,
But
13.
the quality that she has on the ice and the competitive level that she was at, like she doesn't skate like a junior.
No.
And so, and I think even Mark Henretti, one of the commentators, was like, I was like, oh, she's at the tender age of 13. And I feel like collectively everybody at home was like, what? I
Yeah.
saw the comments on YouTube and people were like, what? Yeah, I mean, delightful skates. I am, yeah, officially a brand new fan. Really, really enjoyed her stuff. And she was fourth in the free and in the short, and mathematically came out in fifth, which is just so goofy. But I think for her, she came into this with kind of no expectations. I
Oh, she
mean,
was taking it all in. You could see it just in the like, owning every little moment of it just for fun and for
And I
experience.
think that she got season's best here, at least in one of the skates. And so overall, she was just thrilled to have competed in this field and to have done as well as she did. And to come in fifth at this event, considering the competition and at her age and her experience level is
It's
crazy.
fantastic.
Do want to give big shout out though to the sixth place finish of Mayuka Oka, who is one of the juniors I have been aware of this season, and notably because her short program is the Peacock program.
It's so good.
It's super good. It's really strong. She was in third after the short here, and that program just has such a unique identity.
It has a really interesting point of view, great choreography,
Mhm.
but I appreciated that in the commentary they talked about like you can have great choreography, but you have to have a great skater who can understand it and commit to it, and she commits. Like
Mhm.
for someone in juniors to perform something that unique and it's very elevated choreography. So I was just very, very impressed with her.
Yeah, and I love her free skate. Unfortunately, it didn't serve her very well here. She was sixth in the free skate. I will say, notably, she has one of my favorite costumes of the season in the free skate. She has this kind of like lavenderish dress with it's almost like a tunic dress in a way that's got this sort of like orange sunburst. I'll put an image of it in the video, but it's just one of the outfits I've most liked because it's just cut totally different
It's really
and it
pretty.
really has an interesting style to it. And in general, I think that Mayuko is a really enjoyable skater, and it's a shame that she landed in last here, but not for lack of putting out quality programs. Very promising skaters. So, like all six of these women are like stars of the future. It's just we'll get Mai and seniors next year, and then we're gonna wait like a whole quadrennial to see Sumika Kanazawa make her way into seniors.
Maybe
But
that means we get a new dominant force
yeah,
in
maybe. Yeah,
juniors.
I'll be interested to see where her career goes after this because she's at 13, she's so promising.
She really is. Well, let's talk about the men's, which I don't know if you'd qualify it as an upset, but maybe a slight surprise between the two men who have essentially been dominating juniors for several years now, Ryo Nakata and Minkyu Seo, with Minkyu taking the win here.
This is one of those classic, like the technical, powerful jumper versus like the artistic skater kind of
Exactly,
showdowns.
exactly.
And Ryo Nakata from Japan, we were mentioning him earlier in context of the Japanese Nationals, like very strong jumper, real aggressive, masculine skater.
Yeah,
Maybe a little over the top sometimes
just a
with
bit.
it, but
I really like him. That's
I
not,
I love his energy.
I do
I think it's
too.
amazing. But when Rio delivers, like he is really giving big, passionate performance. He's a very committed skater. What we've seen from Minkyu Su over this last year or two is a really significant artistic improvement. His lyricality, his musical interpretation has jumped way up. His free skate here is beautiful.
It's fantastic.
And, a lot of it comes down to Rio had a few mistakes in the free after having a really strong short when he was in first. But Minkyu delivers back to back two beautifully composed and performed programs. And he's just in full command of his material. It's the thing that we often see in junior men's is a lot of focus on jump good, and later on we'll figure out what it means to have artistry or have skating skills. And Minkyu has the skating skills, has the artistry, has the jumps, and he very much deserved that win here, and he was really impressive.
He was, and I am a fan of both of theirs. I have leaned slightly more Rio in the past just because of I think I'm his energy is so like big and boisterous, and I don't know, there's something compelling and kind of fun about watching Rio
Oh yeah, Rio wants to make a statement every time he's
every
on the
time.
ice.
And I don't know, he's kind of cocky in a way that I enjoy.
Yeah.
But Minkyu, I every time I've seen him this season, I have been more and more impressed. So I think I might now be leaning a little bit more towards Minkyu, but he's the complete skater.
Mhm.
Either way, both of these young men are incredible, and they're going to be forces to deal with once they enter seniors.
For sure.
Absolutely.
The surprise for me here, though, was the third place finish of America's Lucius Kazanecki. I've never heard of Lucius before. He's
He's had
in
a successful junior season for sure.
Yeah, and again, we don't watch a ton of it, and I didn't realize that he's out of the same camp as Ilya Malinin, and you know his Ilya's parents are his coaches, and you can see that in his jump technique, and
For sure.
he cuts a very similar figure to like Steven Gogolev. He's tall, he's blonde, like he's quite a bit taller than a lot of the rest of the competition, and you know he's got that lankiness factor that sometimes can look a bit awkward, but he actually has quite a lot of burgeoning artistry that's already visible. I do wish they'd kind of package him a little better. I sort of felt like he was wearing like Ilya hand-me-downs in a way,
A little bit. Yeah.
because the outfits looked very similar to some of the stuff that like Ilya has skated in. But regardless, I was really surprised at like how strong Lucius skated. I mean, he's well back from the other two guys. I mean, Minkyu got a 255.91, Rio got a 249.70, and Lucius is in third with a 225.85. So, you know, he's a full like 24 points behind Rio. So it's a significant ways back. However, still really nice skates, very enjoyable skater to watch, and clearly somebody who wants to level up.
Yes.
You could see him evaluating his own performance and what he was delivering. He's got jumps, he's got artistry. There's a lot of work to be done, but also there's a lot of promise.
Tons of promise, and this is a great result for him to be on the podium with those two. That's great. And I'm excited to see what the future brings for him.
Yeah. Just a couple of notes on the dance in Paris. We really didn't watch very much of it,
No.
and I just tend to kind of steer away from ice dance in Paris in juniors.
I do as well, simply because I try not to get too attached, because a lot of junior teams tend to part ways and start new partnerships. So I don't want to get too attached to too many of them, honestly.
It could be a little heartbreaking sometimes. But what we did see was a win in the pairs from China's Gao and Zhang. We have seen them several times already. They are notably the team that has a quad twist, which they did do in the free skate here. They have some really terrific pairs elements, and you know, they have those classic Chinese team ability to do thrown triples that are just extraordinary, and the triple twists, well, and the quad twist, which are fantastic. Lots of other places where there's a lot of weaknesses, but they're a fun team to watch. They're very much like a diamond in the rough, essentially at this moment. There's a lot of refinement to be done, but
They're a team of the future, though. Like, they are going to, again, be forces to deal with.
Yeah, if they continue to improve and they can solidify all that other stuff, by the time they get into seniors, they could really be super competitive. They just have to hold on to all of those abilities. But I mean, right now, they're already still a very compelling team.
Yes.
A team I didn't know a whole lot about over in ice dance. And again, this is the thing, like, you know, we're here in the US and I don't know about our juniors very well. But the team that won was, I'm going to struggle with these names, like Abonian and Veselukhin. Man, I apologize.
And Veselukhin. That's how
Yeah.
I'm going to say it for now until we know better, but apologies.
Yeah. When several times we've made the 6-7 joke, which if you
gosh.
don't know what that means, good.
I didn't.
This is Gen Alpha humor that, like, if you're old like us, you barely understand. But it's because this team in their rhythm dance got a 6.677, so 66.77, which of course has a 6.7 in the middle of it, and you could see him immediately react to that in the kiss and cry and do the 6.7 thing. Which again, I'm not going to explain it.
Just Google it. You'll find it.
Or don't, and
Or
spare
don't.
yourself.
Yes, feel better for yourself.
But
You
if
don't know.
They were they do a Vogue program in the rhythm dance, and it is sharp. It is really good, and
She
they
has
sell.
hella ponytail game.
Oh yes, yes. And notably, I think this is one of those teams where, like, I think his skating skills are probably a little stronger, but her personality, her sell on the ice is so impressive, and they really do extremely different programs from the short, or from the rhythm into the free, that showcases that this team has a lot of performance quality. You know, as a pairing, I think they're really strong. They work very well together. Obviously, with their coaching team, they're close, and it feels like very good vibes with them. And I actually really enjoyed their free skate, you know, quite a lot too. So I was pretty impressed with this team.
Very much so. Definitely, again, the team of the future. Keep an eye on them.
Yeah.
because they are young. I think she's 15 and he's 18.
17 or 18,
Yeah.
yeah. So there's a few years yet before we'll see them hit seniors. So they've got a lot of time to cook
Yes.
and improve all of those skills.
Be interesting. Well, let's wrap this up with a very quick look at the Golden Spin of Zagreb, which was happening at the same time as the Grand Prix. And I think the most notable competition there was the dance, which we talked about a little bit earlier, just with Guinard and Fabry not making the Grand Prix final, going to Golden Spin of Zagreb, getting a season's best over Demogé and Lemercier and the Maratsiks. I think that was good for them. We did take a look at their free dance, and I will say it looked better,
Hmm.
but it's still not that compelling.
Yeah.
I hate that I say that because they're such extraordinary skaters. And to be fair, Marco did have like a little break in one of the twizzles, and
Yeah.
there were a few small, tiny little errors. But overall, it was a strong performance. It's just not that exciting.
Well, and I think everything that we watched from Golden Spin, it felt like skaters versus exhaustion. And so when
I
we talk about
agree.
nothing being like super compelling, that's the stuff that we watched from this event kind of felt like that. Yeah, like you're saying with Goodnard and Fabry that like this free is still just there's reasons why they're falling behind, and material choices are tough on this team, but the free is a good
It
program.
looks really strong on them. It's just I feel like I'm seeing a lot of the same that I have seen year over year from them. And we talked about that a little bit when we were watching it, just that a lot of teams are bringing back the greatest hits,
Yeah.
in terms of like lifts that we've seen before and incorporating things that have worked really well and gotten great crowd response. That totally makes sense. It's just with their program, I feel it more than with anyone else's.
Yeah, and it is unfortunate. I think that in you watching them here, I mean, it's like if they had gone to the Grand Prix final, you could have felt them being very easily slotted in ahead of the Lithuanians and Zingis and Kolesnik, and I don't think their programs are as good as either of those teams. And even though I mean they have all of this obvious skating skills and quality,
Technically, they're better,
technically
but
they're better, but the programs are far less
that's
interesting,
what it
and I think
is.
performance quality, the other teams have them kind of beat. So, we'll see how things go when they get to Europeans and how some of that stuff
Yes,
shakes out. But I think that they needed a win, and getting it here,
exactly.
I mean, they were the obvious team above the Moravziks and Demogé and Lemercier, but both of those teams have been really good this season. So, it's a it is some momentum that the Italians did need. I think when we look over in the women's competition, I think there's a couple of kind of important notes here. Brady Snell wins this, and this kind of like matches like Brady taking the top of a lot of international competitions that aren't like Grand Prix events. She's just done over the last couple of seasons done very well at these type of competitions. She comes ahead here with a 194.97, very solid. Now obviously, we just saw the Grand Prix final, and in that same weekend, and every woman in the Grand Prix final got over 200.
Yeah,
So it really does kind of give you that sense of where things are at. Brady performed well here, but when I say that it feels like skaters versus exhaustion, you can kind of feel the weight on a lot of these people of just already having had a long competitive season. And
exactly.
while Brady skated strongly and competently, there wasn't a lot of flair to these programs.
No, she just looked tired. And that's nothing against what she did. She put out a strong performance. She obviously, deserved to win.
Yeah, good jumps. Some of her spins are always terrific.
Her
And
spins are
yeah.
great. I just feel like we've seen this program better
Mhm.
this season already. I just feel like we've talked about a little bit. It's like with the Grand Prix final, even these skaters that weren't there, it's the close of the first half of the season. And it's been a long first half of that season. Like it's really closer to like 60%. Like
Yeah.
it's been going on a while and there's been a lot of competing. So I just felt like you could see it on everyone. And even Brady with a win here, I could just see that like it's good that she has a nice little like I mean I say a rest, training for the national championships for in a month, so not that long, but hopefully she gets at least a week of downtime to just take a breath.
For sure. Yeah. In the second place, we had Aida Karhunen from Finland. So she skated in back-to-back competitions between this and Finnish Nationals, and
And
so
obviously it served her well.
yeah, taking silver here and then immediately going to the Finnish Nationals and then winning that is great. I mean, I think that Aida again looked not as good or as compelling at this event, but she did a solid job and got on that podium. And then there was a bronze finish for another competitor that we haven't seen as much of this season as we would have liked to, Kazakhstan Sofia Samaltakina. Sophia is fighting a respiratory infection, and as I understand it, has pulled out of Kazakhstan nationals, as I believe so has
Mikhail
Mikhail
Shidorov.
Shidorov.
Yeah,
I'm not sure why with I mean, Mikhail is going to get their picks for things
of
anyway,
course,
but
and so will Sophia.
yeah, but Sophia was very obviously sick at this competition, and particularly in the short program, you could see that taking its toll on her.
It kind of scared me watching her in the short. Like, I just, by the end of it, I was like, she should not have been here.
Yeah.
She was so visibly ill.
Yeah, however, she put on a really strong free skate, and you can see her, like, by sheer force of will and grit getting through her jumps and her elements, but by the end of it, it felt really strong and felt more cohesive. And I think that this is a skater who has a ton of quality and is typically very, very consistent. You rarely see Sophia fall, and she did fall in that short program. So we were definitely not seeing the version of her that we would have expected. But hopefully the next time we do spot her, that she'll be healthy. I think the other person worth noting in that women's competition is this was our first time seeing Nina Pinzaroni this season. I believe she has competed at one other event previous to this, but nothing that we saw. And Nina Pinzaroni has been out with injury since the beginning of the season. She was fantastic last year,
She was.
and over the last couple of years is somebody who has just been one of my favorites. Stylistically, I really enjoy her point of view and what she delivers on the ice, and she's just a very interesting character of a skater. This was rough to watch. She looks like somebody who has not been on the ice in a year.
Yeah.
She doesn't look like at home in her body. She doesn't look confident in what she's doing. And knowing her artistic abilities, knowing her her skating skills and jumping abilities, everything that she is capable of, seeing Nina skate the way that she did here is demoralizing. And this is somebody who I really like a lot. And so it is tough and frustrating to see a couple of performances that looked like this, because she's a much better skater, or has been a much better skater in the past than what we were seeing. So I'm just hoping that she's got some time to bounce back.
Yes, agreed. I'm just hoping she continues to get better soon and gets more time. Like, and that's the thing that's against her right now going into the Olympics.
Yeah,
So
there's not a lot of time left. And yeah, I'm hoping that she can put it back together, because she kind of looked visibly shaken by
yeah,
what she was doing there.
agreed. The men's competition, I don't want to spend too much time on, just because I don't think the guys would want us to spend too much time on it.
Yeah.
Kevin Amos did win with a 2:39.52, so always good to get a win, but not his best score. So I'm happy for him, but also moving on.
Woof, yeah.
But he won that over Estonia's Arlet Lavandi, who was in silver, and Luca Kanamides from France, who was in bronze. So it was a competition that happened.
I do want to throw a shout out to Estonia's Arlet Lavandi, though. For one thing, is that I saw him do a video with Nina Petrakina where they reenacted one of the footwork sequences from Zingis and Kolesnik's.
Right.
I think
The
the Romeo and Juliet. Which was just kind of a surprise to see these two single skaters just getting together and doing that program from the American team. I just love to see it.
It was really cool.
It was super fun to see that. The other thing I think is very notable out of this competition, though, is in the pairs division, because the Americans Audrey Shin and Balazs Naj got a personal best 194 flat and won this competition, and that is the vote of confidence that this team needed to see in themselves and in their performances, and they looked pretty sharp.
They looked really sharp. It was really fun to see their coach Megan Dumel like at the boards jumping up and down,
Yes.
in the back.
And I love seeing Audrey's face when they would land their elements, and to see the obvious excitement and how pumped they were. Like, this team, they're still very new, but they've had some ups and downs trying to get it together. And obviously Audrey is so very new to this discipline.
Yeah.
But this was a much stronger performance from them than we've seen before, and really does show the promise of this team in a big way. And they look good. They were really enjoyable.
They were, and they won over Plazas and Fernandez, another American team who also got a personal best, which was really cool to
That's
see.
great, yeah,
It's
and this is a
wonderful.
team come back from injury and have not had a whole lot of a season yet, so I'm always just happy to see them.
Yeah, and in bronze it was Volumar and Bovar,
Yeah,
who is a
also a terrific team, yeah.
terrific team. But the thing that I did want to mention for Audrey and Balaj is I went back and looked at like rankings of American teams for getting because we're getting that closer and closer to U.S. Nationals,
Oh, golly.
and that technically is the second highest score an American team has gotten this season in international competition, ever so slightly ahead of Chan and Howe. So there's
Is that
that.
above,
I should say eligible teams to go to the Olympics. I am not counting uh,
oh, Efimova
Efimova and
and
Mitrofanov
because they
because
don't technically have citizenship
right,
at this
if
point.
which could change, but is unlikely to.
Yeah.
So I was just referencing any team we
Sure.
know is eligible.
Right,
So
yeah.
it's like Ellie Cam and Danny O'Shea, them, then Emily Chan and Spencer Howe.
Yeah.
Ever so close. So
Yeah, yeah.
we'll see.
Hmm.
Makes it interesting.
Wow. That wraps everything up that we were gonna cover, and because there's just so much. There's so much happening,
There's so
this last
much.
couple of weeks, and the next couple of weeks have so much going on. So I suppose in our next episode, we're going to be talking about everything we previewed with this one, with all of those nationals, but particularly the Japanese nationals
Yeah.
is kind of the most
Daunting.
daunting's a good word. Anxiety inducing.
Uh-huh.
It will be exciting, but man, it's going to be nerve wracking. And for, I think, somebody made the comment a couple of weeks ago that like somebody had, accused us of glazing the American teams because we are Americans, and somebody else pointed out, they're like, okay, if we are simping for anybody, it's the Japanese teams, right? Like,
I mean, that is
let's be honest
entirely
here. Like,
fair.
we are huge fans of the Japanese skaters. And and we are going to be like heart in throat during a whole
Yes.
lot of that competition. I'm kind of happy we won't be able to watch a lot of it in real time,
Oh,
and that I can
same.
just wake up and look at the numbers and not be nail biting my way through the real time
I
competitions.
kind of expect I will like be avoiding my phone for like the first hour of my morning because I just won't. I'll be afraid to look.
Yes, yeah. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be a really anxious weekend around all of that. But yeah, so when we come back, we'll be talking about that, and hopefully we will be excited and cheering and not heartbroken and sad.
I'm imagining a bit of both.
it's going to be bittersweet one way or another, but
Yeah.
and there's going to be other stuff to talk about beyond that. But let us know in the comments who you think is going to come ahead at the Japanese Nationals. Are you as nervous about that as us? Did you watch the Junior Grand Prix? Were you as excited for all the people that we were? We didn't do a Gold in Our Hearts in this week, but if I had one, it was Sumika Kanazawa
Same.
because
Same.
oh my God,
Love her.
just absolutely fantastic. She's incredible. But that whole women's competition in the Junior Grand Prix final was absolutely terrific. The thrilling front to back. But yeah, let us know if you watched all that stuff, what you're looking forward to in these nationals. If you're let us know what country you're from and if your favorites are locking those spots and how they're doing at your national competitions, because I know our audience is pretty international, and so everybody's kind of rooting for different people, and you've got a lot on the line no matter where you're from. So we'll get back to you after the Japanese Nationals. And for Choreography, I'm Adrian Buskey,
And I'm Wendy Busky.
and we will talk to you next time.
Bye.